Welcome back, Influence Decoders, to Decoded Influence. Today, uh, we're kicking off a brand new series, Anime Decoded, and we're going to be doing some serious deep dives into the world of anime, but not just as entertainment. Are you ready to explore anime as cultural technology?
That's a great way to frame it. It's fascinating because anime doesn't just passively reflect society, it actively shapes it. Think of it like a cultural laboratory, where creators and audiences experiment with ideas about society, anxieties, and even solutions to real-world
This
problems.
is cultural technology. That sounds pretty high level. What exactly does that mean? I'm picturing giant robots and magical girls, not social commentary.
Well, it's all about storytelling as a form of prototyping. Anime creators are essentially world builders, and the worlds they create often reflect or even anticipate changes happening in society. Like, what if technology advanced in this direction? What would a society look like if this social structure was dominant? These narratives can then spark real-world conversations and even influence how we approach these issues in the real world.
So it's a deeper level than just escapism, which I'll admit is a big part of why I love anime.
Right, escapism is definitely part of it. But there's a deeper layer. Anime lets us explore what-if scenarios, test drive different social structures or ethical frameworks, even imagine technological advancements, all within the safe space of fiction. It's like running simulations before trying things out in the real world.
This is making me think about how a lot of anime, especially Studio Ghibli films, deal with environmental themes. Is that a form of cultural technology at work?
Absolutely. Think about Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. On the surface, it's a classic adventure story, but it's also grappling with ecological collapse and the potential dangers of unchecked technological advancement. It asks us to examine our own relationship with nature.
So by watching anime, we're not just being entertained, we're actually engaging in thought experiments about the future.
Right. Precisely. And that's what makes comparisons to other cultural forces like K-pop or Afrofuturism so interesting. They all use different tools and aesthetics, but with a similar goal. Exploring possible futures and challenging the status quo, they spark conversations, influence trends, and push the boundaries of what's possible.
Wow, okay, my mind is officially blown. So if different anime studios are like these laboratories of the future, what kind of experiments are they running?
Well, different studios definitely have distinct philosophies that shape their approach to this cultural technology. Let's look at three contrasting examples: Kyoto Animation, Epee, and Science Saru.
Okay, I know Kyoto Animation, or Kiani as some fans call them. They're known for their heartfelt stories and gorgeous visuals.
Exactly. KyoAni is known for creating what we might call emotional infrastructure in their worlds. Emotional intelligence and empathy are often at the core of their narratives.
Oh, not just action and spectacle, but exploring real human connection.
Yes. Take Violet Evergarden, for example. It's a post-war story about healing and societal transition, where the act of writing letters becomes a powerful form of emotional labor and connection. It presents a world where emotional literacy is just as important as any other skill.
I love that concept.
Okay.
What about Mappier? They're known for some pretty intense, action-packed anime.
Mappier's style is definitely more direct. They tackle systemic issues head-on, often through darker narratives that dissect power structures. They're not afraid to show the grittier, more complex sides of things.
I can see that in Jujutsu Kaisen. It critiques traditional educational systems and explores alternative models for success and strength.
Exactly. Jujutsu Kaisen exemplifies Mappier's willingness to question established hierarchies
Right.
and explore different models for success. It's not just about fighting curses. It's about examining the systems that create those curses in the first place.
All right, last but not least, we have Science Saru. They're the studio behind some of the most visually stunning and mind-bending anime I've ever seen. What's their angle?
Science Saru constantly pushes the boundaries of animation. They blend seemingly incompatible elements and explore themes of identity technology and the creative process itself.
I think Keep Your Hands Off Izuken perfectly demonstrates this. It's a meta-narrative about the process of anime creation as a form of world building.
It's so brilliant. It's like a case study of how anime itself reflects on its power as a cultural force. The character's passion for creating anime mirrors how anime can spark real-world imagination and innovation.
Okay, influence decoders. We've gone from giant robots
Yeah.
to emotional labor to the creative process of world building through animation, and this is just the beginning.
Now let's dive into one of the most popular and often misunderstood genres in anime, isekai.
Ooh, isekai. Things are about to get meta, because isekai is all about getting transported to another world. And in a way, that's what we're doing with this entire deep dive into anime.
That's a great observation. Before we go full meta, let's define isekai. for those who might not be familiar. It literally translates to different world, and the genre typically involves a protagonist being transported to a fantasy world, often with elements that feel like they're pulled straight from video games.
Think magical abilities, levels, quests, the whole package.
Exactly. And while it might seem purely escapist on the surface, the popularity of isekai is deeply intertwined with social anxieties, especially in Japan.
So what anxieties are driving people to seek refuge in these fantasy worlds? What's going on that's making these stories resonate so strongly?
Imagine a society with a stagnant economy, intense social pressure to conform, and a rigid hierarchy that's tough to navigate. That's the reality for many in Japan, especially young people.
So it makes sense that they'd want to escape to a world where they can be heroes and have more agency, right?
Exactly. Isekai offers a sense of control and the opportunity to make a difference. That can feel absent in the real world. Protagonists, often starting as ordinary individuals, suddenly find themselves empowered in these new worlds, able to achieve goals and make a real impact.
But it's not always about running away from problems, is it? Some of these isekai narratives tackle real-world issues in really interesting ways.
That's what makes the genre so fascinating. It uses fantasy as a testing ground to explore possible solutions to real-world problems. It's like a form of social R&D playing out in these fantastical worlds.
Give me some examples. What kind of social R&D are we talking about here?
Let's look at three very different isekai series. Dr. Stone, Attack on Titan, and Land of the Lustrous. Each one tackles a different set of societal challenges in a unique way.
Let's start with Dr. Stone. It's got such a cool premise. Humanity is turned to stone. And centuries later, a brilliant scientist awakens and sets out to rebuild civilization, using the power of science.
It's more than just a cool premise. It's a powerful statement about scientific literacy and the importance of collective action. Think open source movements and citizen science initiatives in the real world. Dr. Stone also critiques the dangers of overspecialization. The protagonist, Senku, needs a broad range of knowledge and the help of others to succeed in rebuilding society.
So it's like a blueprint for how we could tackle real-world problems like climate change or resource scarcity.
Exactly. Dr. Stone isn't just about escaping reality. It's about inspiring a generation to embrace science and innovation as tools for positive change.
Okay, now, for Attack on Titan, that's a much darker isekai, right?
It is more intense, but it also has incredible depth. It explores the dangers of misinformation and inherited trauma. It shows how fear and manipulation can be used to control populations and maintain power structures.
And it feels incredibly relevant to today's world, with the rise of social media and the spread of propaganda.
It really does. Think about how Ukraine has effectively used memes in their information war against Russia. It's a real-world example playing out some of the themes explored in Attack on Titan.
Last but not least, we have Land of the Lustrous. What kind of social commentary is happening in this gem-filled world?
This one gets really philosophical. Land of the Lustrous challenges our anthropocentric worldview by imagining a world populated by genderless, crystalline life forms. It explores themes of identity exploitation and what it even means to be human in a world that's becoming increasingly post-human.
So it's using these fantastical visuals to make us think about the ethical implications of AI, biotechnology, and the very definition of life itself.
That's exactly it. And these are just three examples of how isekai can be used as a tool for exploring complex social issues. It really speaks to the power of anime as this cultural technology we've been discussing.
You know, it makes you wonder, could anime actually help us solve real-world problems if it functions as this testing ground for ideas? Could we use it to design and prototype a better future?
That's a big question, isn't it? And it's one we'll continue to explore throughout this Anime Decoded series. For now, though, let's shift gears and look at some specific examples of how anime is already making a real-world impact.
All right. Influence decoders, get ready for some concrete examples of how anime is spilling over from the screen and into our lives. You might be surprised by just how much this cultural technology is already shaping the world around us. We'll be right back after a quick break.
Let's start with something that might hit close to home for anyone who's ever felt boxed in by the expectations of our education system.
Ooh, relatable content alert. I'm all ears.
Think about the hero licensing system in My Hero Academia. It's more than just a plot device. It's reflecting real-world anxieties about credentialing meritocracy and who gets to decide what success looks like.
So it's like the anime version of debating whether standardized tests or college degrees are truly valuable.
Exactly. By watching these characters navigate this fictional system, it makes us question the systems we operate under in the real world. Are they fair, effective? Do they even achieve what they're supposed to?
It's making me think about all those chosen one narratives you see in fantasy and sci-fi. They usually tap into that desire for recognition and validation. But My Hero Academia seems to be layering in some social commentary too.
It's a great example of how anime can spark these kinds of conversations about complex topics. And it's not just limited to education either.
Hit me with another example. Where else are we seeing anime blur the lines between fiction and reality?
Let's shift gears from the classroom to the global stage. Think about Dragon Ball Super and its multiverse tournaments. It's not just about epic battles. It's a metaphor for cooperation and competition on a cosmic scale.
I see it. You have all these different universes, each with their own strengths and weaknesses, coming together to face a common threat.
It's a surprisingly nuanced take on international relations. It suggests that even in the face of insurmountable challenges, finding common ground and understanding each other's perspectives can achieve something greater.
So instead of just punching each other, these powerful beings are learning to work together. That actually gives me some hope for the future of diplomacy.
And remember how we talked about Attack on Titan and its exploration of misinformation? We're seeing disturbing parallels in how Ukraine has been using meme warfare to combat Russian propaganda.
Hold on, seriously. The themes from that anime are playing out in a real-world conflict.
It highlights how the lines between fiction and reality are blurring. The visual language of anime, with its exaggerated expressions and symbolic imagery, translates surprisingly well to the online world of memes and rapid communication.
So it's not just that anime reflects real-world events. It can actively influence them too. This is some heavy stuff.
And it gets even more mind-blowing when we consider how emerging technologies like VR and AR could amplify anime's role as this cultural technology.
Enki, now you're speaking my language. VR and anime. That sounds incredibly cool.
Yeah.
But how would that actually work?
Imagine being able to step inside your favorite anime, interacting with the characters, experiencing that world firsthand. That's the power of VR.
I'm already getting chills just thinking about it.
And it's not just about entertainment. VR could be used to create powerful therapeutic experiences. Think about series like A Silent Voice, which deals with social anxiety and bullying, or ReZero, which explores themes of trauma and resilience. Imagine experiencing those narratives in an immersive way.
So you could have VR simulations that help people work through social phobias.
Yeah.
Or process difficult emotions, all guided by familiar anime characters and storylines. That's amazing.
Exactly. And how about using VR to create immersive simulations of UBI societies? Or post-disaster eco-recovery? We've seen these themes explored in shows like Dr. Stone and others. It could give us a new way to experience and interact with these concepts.
Wait, so we could use anime and VR to not just escape reality, but to actually prototype and test potential solutions to real-world problems.
That's the idea. And it doesn't have to stop there. Imagine entire fan-created anime worlds built within VR spaces, where viewers become active participants, shaping the narrative and contributing to a collective creative experience. The possibilities are endless.
Okay, my mind is officially blown wide open. This is next-level stuff. But let's back up for a second. We've talked a lot about the potential upsides of anime as this cultural technology. Are there any risks or downsides we should be aware of?
That's a crucial question. Like any powerful tool, anime can be misused. We need to be critical consumers and think about the messages being presented. Is escapism becoming a substitute for action? Are certain narratives reinforcing negative stereotypes or harmful ideologies? We have to be aware of these things.
So it's about being a discerning viewer, right? Understanding the values being presented.
Yeah.
And using our own judgment to decide what we take away from these stories.
Absolutely. And it's also about recognizing the power of representation. Anime needs to become more inclusive to reflect the diversity of experiences and perspectives that exist in the real world.
That's a great point. We need to see more diverse characters and more stories that challenge the status quo and push the boundaries of what anime can be.
I completely agree. And that's what makes this conversation about the future of anime so exciting. With these new technologies, the increasing globalization of fandom, and this growing awareness of its potential as a force for social change, the possibilities are truly limitless.
Influence decoders.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I'm feeling inspired. We've gone from giant robots to emotional intelligence to virtual worlds, and we've only scratched the surface of what anime has to offer. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's take a moment to appreciate just how diverse anime is. It's not a monolithic genre, which is honestly one of his strengths.
You're so right. We've been focusing on isekai, some of the bigger, more action-packed series, but there's a whole universe of anime out there. From slice-of-life stories to historical dramas to romantic comedies, each with its own flavor and perspective.
And each of those genres offers its own unique insights into Japanese culture and society. I'm a big fan of slice-of-life anime, like Keion or Shirobako. They often explore themes of community, friendship, and finding joy in everyday life.
They're like a warm hug in animated form, perfect for when you need a break from all the giant robots and existential crises.
Exactly. And while they might not seem like obvious examples of cultural technology, compared to, say, Psycho-Pass or Ghost in the Shell, they're still providing valuable commentary on social dynamics and human relationships.
I completely agree. Even the seemingly lighthearted or fluffy anime often have something important to say about the world. And we can't forget the artistry and craftsmanship that goes into anime production, the animation, the music, the voice acting. It's all part of this cultural technology working together to create immersive and emotionally resonant experiences.
It's true, it's like a symphony of creative talent all coming together to tell these amazing stories.
And those stories, whether they're set in fantastical worlds or grounded in everyday reality, have the power to connect with audiences on a deeply personal level. They can make us laugh, cry, think, and feel things we never expected.
That's the magic of anime, isn't it?
Yeah.
It transcends cultural boundaries and speaks to something universal within us.
And as we move further into the 21st century, anime's influence as a cultural force is only going to become more significant. It's a tool for exploring our anxieties, for prototyping new possibilities, and for connecting with each other in ways we're only beginning to understand.
So what does this all mean for us influence decoders? What should we take away from this deep dive into the world of anime?
The key takeaway is this: anime is more than just entertainment. It's a powerful lens through which we can view the world, a tool for understanding ourselves and each other, and a source of inspiration for building a better future.
And as we've seen, anime is already having a real-world impact, from sparking conversations about social issues to influencing the development of new technologies.
And that impact is only going to grow as anime continues to evolve and connect with audiences around the globe.
Influence decoders, we've covered a lot of ground today. But here's a final thought-provoking question to leave you with. Could anime actually help us solve real-world problems? What kind of future could we prototype through this medium?
I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Decoded Influence for more deep dives into fascinating topics. And be sure to let us know what other areas of influence you'd like us to decode. Until next time, stay curious, influence decoders.